Welcome to the Connectable Podcast.
The Connectable Podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
I always feel bad when I feel like I'm the least fit person on the podcast, which happens often. I just, you know what I mean? Makes me feel a little self-conscious, but that's okay. Anyways, that's how we're going to start the show.
Do you feel like you're the most out of not shape in this group today?
Oh, very much so. I feel like I'm.
Let's do a burpee challenge. Then.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Yeah, between you two, that'd be great. I'll be the referee. I'll count.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? I'm not even that good at math either, so I shouldn't count it either. I'll press the go buttons, like beep, go, and then we can have the competition.
Okay. You got the marathon thing down, Josh, though.
Oh, okay.
I've done a few marathons, but
I don't run.
Oh,
I love running, but I haven't done a marathon yet.
I can sprint. I'm a sprinter. I'm like 30 seconds and that's it.
Oh, I hate sprints. I'll do them, but I'm so slow.
I'm a sprinter.
That's good. See, I feel so bad about myself right now. No, I'm just kidding. I feel pretty good. I know where I stand in this fitness world. I know my place.
Marathon. Okay, an actual marathon?
So I've done 4 marathons. I've done 4 marathons.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's not get too excited because they were very slow. And, I wasn't I wasn't going to Boston anytime soon. You know what I mean? I was nowhere near qualifying for that. But it was all because the only reason I did it, it's funny because years ago, at the time, my girlfriend, now my wife, was asking, hey, would you ever do a marathon? And I'm like, no, never. And then I got involved with what was called the Be Change Running Club. And they had an after school running program at Oak Ridge Elementary School in Oak Park in Sacramento. And the whole idea was they would recruit runners to do the CIM marathon in Sacramento. And then each runner would raise money for that school to help with wellness programs and stuff like that. So I did a college project just observing what they did there. And then once you're around the kids, the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, it's like, dang, I'm about to do a marathon because you're so moved by it. And then, so that's why I tell people, I'll never do a marathon just to do a marathon. It would have to be attached to some kind of cause that I'm raising money for, because for me, it's like, it's not something I really enjoy. I do it, but it's got to be attached to something more. So it kind of keeps me going. That being said, they were very slow, but they still finished them.
Did it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But anyways, this podcast isn't about me. I'm on here all the time. They don't need to hear any more from me. The other voice you're hearing besides myself and Deb is Jonna Dolinta. She's an athlete, a fitness pro, an animal lover, among other things. But she's awesome. Jonna's awesome. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. It's an exciting time. Like I told you guys, this is my first time doing a podcast. So here we go. Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like you're already a pro.
I know. You'll do fine. Hopefully you don't regret having this be your first
Thank you for the encouragement. This is good. I'm around good company. So yeah.
Good.
Let's wait an hour before you make any judgments. You may feel differently. It's like, oh, I can't believe I just wasted an hour of my life with these clowns. So, we like to, because the show is called Connectable, we like to talk about to start off the show, we talk about how we got connected to our guests, or how we are connected to our guests. And again, this is just like our last podcast that we just recorded. We don't really have a direct connection with you. We kind of met on social media, and I was trying to think back when we started following each other. And I think our common connection is Sarah from Good Life Nutrition. I think we were talking about that.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're still trying to get her on the show, but I think in some roundabout way, I think our connection with her led to our connection with you, and we started following you, and you started commenting on our stuff. And it's like, oh, Miss J is pretty cool. We like her. And then it's like, well, we need to have her on the podcast. So, that's kind of how we're connected. Nothing crazy, but social media basically.
And that's kind of how social media works, right? It's those different connections. And Sarah's awesome. I hope that you guys will have an opportunity to get connected with Sarah. She's got a lot to offer in terms of the fitness community and how she's influencing others in such a positive way. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Trying to hunt her down. I will keep hunting her down. Sarah, get on the show at some point. You're listening, Sarah. I'll keep bugging her.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how many DMs she and I have gone back and forth, and I've sent her like voice messages, and we're just like, it's okay. We'll get together at some point. You'll get. So.
Yeah, you guys will make it happen.
Yeah. She hasn't blocked you yet, right? So
what?
She hasn't blocked you, right?
What? I don't think so.
Uh-oh, that
I gotta check.
It's like, oh, not Deb again. So that being said, like I said in your intro, you're an athlete, a fitness pro, and you and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago on the phone, and you kind of explained your background. But for our audience who may not know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into the fitness world, how you got into the animal rescue world. That's a big question, but kind of give us the background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I became into bodybuilding back in 2007. And that was around the time when I just moved to Sacramento, and I got involved with Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Sanctuary. They're an amazing sanctuary out off of Alberta here in Sacramento, and 90% of their dogs are Golden Retrievers. And so I got involved with them, was volunteering on a regular basis. And volunteer work is challenging for most folks. They think about it and they're like, well, who has time for that? It's kind of a burden. But what I found that my love for animals, my passion for animals led me to an opportunity to serve others, right? And so during my time with Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Sanctuary, I was also starting to build up my bodybuilding career. And I was having a fabulous time with training and just getting into the lifestyle of a bodybuilder. And I was in one of my really deep preps. And if anyone out there is listening, bodybuilding diets are incredibly hard. They're so hard, mentally, physically, emotionally. And there was a point in which where I said, why am I doing this? Like, what is the point? There was no point. If there was no purpose, there was no point. And at that time, I decided I'm going to dedicate all of my winnings to different animal sanctuaries. And the first one is going to go to the Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Sanctuary. And so I came up with the hashtag Fit Chick with a Purpose. And so that was my calling. It was like, okay, now I have purpose. I became a no-meat athlete. And that was my purpose behind doing these bodybuilding shows and going for my pro card, going pro status, was to serve others. So that's how it came to be.
Wow. That's a really good, that's a great idea. And then I feel like if I were to do that, I would be the same as you in terms of like, what is my purpose? Why am I doing this? Especially with how challenging it is. I've never done it before, but I've done lots of research because I've always been curious about it and just like what they do. Maybe not so much because I wanted to do it or I was thinking of doing it, but like, I'm just really interested. It fascinates me. The nutrition world, exercise physiology and all that stuff. And so, oh my gosh, I don't know details. Like maybe, I don't know if you want to get into that, but like just the things that bodybuilders have to do to get their physique to look like that for that day or, those couple of days. I've read some really just like, some things that it's really hard. So
it's really challenging. I did it for 10 years. And like I said, I don't think I could have moved forward with it if I didn't have a purpose behind it. Right. And I'd been an athlete my entire life. I loved the training protocol. I loved having a routine. I loved having consistency in my life. I loved having other bodybuilder friends to train with. There was a supportive atmosphere. There's camaraderie there. There was support. But the diet, just for me personally, that was just so difficult. And so, there's your off season, there's your on season. Off season is when you're in your bulking phase and you try to keep a lean bulk. You can obviously put on, some fluff, but the goal is to keep as lean as possible. There's a very strict regimen that you follow throughout, your season in which you're in. So when you're in season, when you're starting to cut, that becomes incredibly strenuous. And so when I would be in my prep, Homeward Bound and the other volunteer rescue places that I was volunteering at, I'd have to say, peace out for the next 6 months because I don't have the physical ability to do my 3 hours of, weightlifting and cardio while being on a, caloric deficit and run the dogs and so forth. So they would see me in certain periods of a time in my bodybuilding career. But they would know that Miss J was doing this for a purpose, right? So yeah, the diet so much. I retired about 2 years ago. The diet so much I do not miss. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at now. So it was good. 10 years I hung up my shoes. I'm good.
Right. Now, did you have before I forget this question, Josh,
Yeah,
you
please.
have a coach? Did you have a coach that like helps you through it, or did you kind of were like, nope, I was on my own, I was disciplined enough?
Yeah, no, I was not disciplined by myself. I did have a coach. Yeah, I had a coach, and yeah, having a coach just really mentored me, walked me through everything. And like I said, there's an emotional aspect when competing, just figuring out, why are you doing this, remembering what your purpose is, and because it consumes you. It really, really consumes you. And for a period of time, everything else kind of got left by the wayside because I was so focused on doing these bodybuilding shows. So
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's something, because I know a few people who do or who did the bodybuilding thing or attempted it. And I feel like one of the things that I always find really interesting is how it affects your social life. Like you said, you do have that social circle of people who are in the bodybuilding world and kind of going towards the same goal, but you also have a group of friends that probably isn't in that world. And when it's like, hey, we want to go out to eat, you want to come with us? And you're like, yeah, sure. Oh, wait, but I can't go to that restaurant because of, the dietary stuff.
Right.
So how challenging was that part of the journey of bodybuilding for you?
That's a great question. And my bodybuilding career definitely affected my relationships during my career. My family and my friends, they would know when I'd be in season. They'd be like, okay, we're not going to see Jay for, the next few months because she's focused, she's honed in on her goal. But what I did realize was that we really celebrate a lot with food and alcohol and drinks. We really socialize around food and alcohol and drinking, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I really realized that anytime someone wanted to hang out with me, it revolved around food. It revolved around going to the bar. And I thought to myself, like, hey, can we maybe go for a walk around the park, or can we meet, here? And so it was challenging, to say the least, in trying to keep up my social life and just not have to around food or drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I never really thought about that, because I think that's what you hear all the time is that, a lot of times when, people hang out, a lot of times it does revolve around food or eating or drinking, whatever it may be. And what would be wrong with going to work out with a group of friends and still having that social, or even our last guest, he has a run club where he gets together with people, and they either run or they hike or they do those things. And it doesn't necessarily revolve around food, but you're still getting together. But I think you're right. We do tend to not think of those things first. We think of, food being the main thing. And if someone's, on a diet, or if someone's training like you were, that would be incredibly difficult.
Sure. So it was always helpful because I had my bodybuilder friends too, and they were in my life. They were living the lifestyle that I was in. They were in that world. But separate of that, the friends that couldn't understand, why was I training 6 days a week? Why was I in the gym so much? They couldn't understand that. Again, it was just a completely different lifestyle, completely two different worlds, if you will. And so now that I'm not competing anymore, I'm not in that extreme. There are different levels of extreme with bodybuilding, and again, not to say that that's a bad thing, but I just, when I finally retired, it gave me an opportunity to go back to just a normal living style. So yeah.
Right. And then now, I have lots of questions, so I'm gonna try not to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Ask away.
I do too. I feel like our questions are gonna be so different. Like mine's like the dumb question that's not, in that world. And Deb has like the very like scientific, smart questions.
No. Well, and this one's not like scientific. So like, do you coach others right now who are getting into bodybuilding right now? Is that something you want to do?
No, when I got into bodybuilding, that was for me, and that was for me alone. Like I said, being an athlete my entire life, when I got out of college, I was like, I want to find something that's, a hobby for me, that's still athletic, that I can call my own. And I was personal training and doing group exercise classes at that time, but I decided like, nope, this is going to be something that I do just for myself. And with me having the personal experience behind it, I was like, I know how hard it is, and I don't think I would be able to support someone the way that my coaches have supported me. It's a whole different ball game with training people for shows. It's a completely different ball game.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, and I try to relate that to like being an athlete and then turning into a coach after. Sometimes it's not for everyone, coaching the sport that they play. And so that's kind of, like you, especially after you've gone through and bodybuilding is a different beast in and of itself.
Yeah.
Especially after you've gone through the emotional and physical and just the mental part of it. I can, if that took a toll on you, I could see how you'd be like, nope, peace out. I don't want to coach anyone. I don't want to. You can you can offer lots of advice and mentorship if people ask you about it. But like but to coach it, I bet is a completely different beast that you don't want to get into.
Yeah, and while I was in it, I didn't have time to coach other people while they're getting ready for their shows, because I was so busy getting ready for my own and focusing on that. So yeah.
What does I always find, like, along with the diet part of it, I am, just in case, because someone could be listening and they might be interested in getting into this bodybuilding world. So, but aside from the food, what would a normal training day look like for you?
Not in bodybuilding?
Or no, in bodybuilding specifically.
In bodybuilding.
Yeah, in bodybuilding.
So I mean, my split would be typically 4 days on with a day off, 4 days on, 1 day off. And I would do like a leg day, and I would never do cardio on leg day just because I would just trash my legs, which I really love leg day. Do you guys like leg day? Josh?
I love leg day.
I don't mind it. My legs don't always agree. They're like, yeah, you're not the best at this, but I do I do enjoy it for sure.
Okay. So yeah, I'd hit legs twice a week. My upper body always was the challenge. So I try to hit shoulders every other day. And in terms of like what I was eating, I was a no meat athlete, so I wasn't eating any meat. And that was something that really excited me, because I wanted to show people that, you don't need to eat meat to build, to look like a bodybuilder. And so people were always super curious with my diet in terms of like, well, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your protein? And actually, for me, it wasn't about the protein, it was about the carbohydrates, because your carbohydrates is actually what fuels you for your workout. Carbohydrates is what gives you energy. And so for me, it was, making sure that I was in my bulking phase, getting adequate amounts of really good, sweet potato, the steel cut oats, getting my variety of fruits. That was pretty typical in terms of what I was eating. So
yeah, I can see how there would be lots of common misconceptions about the nutrition part of that, right? Like you said, like the protein, like where do you get your protein? And it's like, no, but if you know science, that protein helps repair muscle, and carbs the energy, and carbs actually help build the muscle, and this does this. And so like a lot of people think that protein is the thing that bulks you up, but you can. And then also scientifically, you can get protein on a plant-based diet. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize that as well. And so and I had I had a couple of sponsorships. I had teamed up with Vega and Garden for Life, and so I was supplementing with their protein shakes, and that helped tremendously. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Deb. I had a question, but go ahead.
So you said 6 months out of the year, that is your in-season phase, right? I have questions about bodybuilding now. Is it?
it would depend on when my show would be taking place, but it's not like you could be like, yeah, I want to do a bodybuilding show in 2 months and I'm just going to go for it. No, there's a period of time, a bulking phase where you have to kind of prep to get ready for that. And then most people do anywhere between 12 weeks and 16-week cut. And so the 12-week to 16-week cut is during your time where you're slowly trying to drop body fat, and you're trying to maintain as much muscle mass as possible while just dropping body fat. That's why I was saying, like, during your off season, people, a lot of bodybuilders would we call it a dirty bulk. You know, you just gain a bunch of weight, you know, and in that your combination of fat and muscle. But it would be so hard on your system, on your body, when you went to go cut, because you'd have to get really aggressive with your dieting and with your cardio. So,
yeah. And then so when you got down to, like, you know, like stage day or right before stage day, in terms of like what you would call like the hardest part, so like mentally, like walk us through that process, like what that is like to get like closer and closer to that, and just how you're in such a deficit. And I don't know, is this true where like you can't drink water the day of as well, something like that? So like what is that like what goes through your mind, and how did you get through it, and how did you stick with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors that are involved, and every show is different. You look different every show, and that just is dependent on your environment, who you're coaching with, how your off season went. There's a lot of different factors involved, and so you know, for me in my last show, I remember thinking if I was going to come out flat. So coming out flat is when your muscles don't pop, you don't look big, you don't look like you're striated. And so, I was stressed out about, you know, and I was traveling. So I had traveled out to Washington for one of my last shows. And so it kind of had effect. I was flying, and it had effect on my water weight. And so because of that, my coach and I were going back and forth with, okay, you need to eat this, or you need to drink more of this. And so there is a science. There's a science in terms of, you know, when you, are at your fullest, and how you're able to go about doing that. There's definitely a science to your carb depleting, and then you pump yourself full back of carbs and drink lots of water to support that push so that your muscles look really full. There's definitely a science to it. It's not like you just, come out looking like that. We're backstage, sweating bullets and getting pumped up and oiling ourselves up. So
right.
Yeah, there's a whole process to it.
Yeah.
Is that, this might be a weird question, is bodybuilding something that anybody can do, or are there certain body types or frames that might be like, yeah, you could try it, but it's probably not going to be super successful? I mean, like I played baseball my whole life. Like I have a certain body type, right? Like there's probably a good chance, even if I put on a ton of muscle, my peak miles per hour when I'm pitching is probably only so high, right? Because of just the frame and a couple of different things. Does that make sense? Is there like a certain type of person that's like, yeah, maybe bodybuilding is not really in your future?
I mean, anyone could try it out, right? I mean, who's to say that, someone can't, but sure. I mean, there's different levels of bodybuilding. So even within the men's, there's physique, there's classic physique, and then there's bodybuilding. So there's different styles with like an umbrella that would be suitable for an individual. So like for myself, I wasn't actually a bodybuilder. I was a figure competitor. So there's bodybuilding, there's figure, and then there's bikini. I believe there's a wellness section now, actually. So within there's all kinds of different categories that will fit, so this girl has, awesome quad sweeps and a wide back. She's going to be great for figure. Or a girl that has a longer torso and long legs and knows how to work the stage. She might be better off doing bikini. So it has to do with your personality style. And obviously if you're taller or shorter, like where you could kind of fit into one of those categories.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I've always wondered
Yeah.
just about that. Cause I feel like, well, even like you said, even the judging is interesting to me too, because
Yeah.
it's kind of is it subjective, or are there very
Oh yeah.
specific standards that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's definitely, it's definitely subjective. I mean, we know the specific criteria that the judges are looking for, and each organization has a set of what they specifically like and what they're going for. So I was with the WNBF, and that was the World Natural Bodybuilding Association. And so they were really big on, lean athletes that were really striated and just had really, really good conditioning. Whereas some organizations might, be more interested in seeing size and so forth. So it really depends on the organization and understanding what, the style of the judge is like and so forth.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can imagine that going through, you said 10 years of doing this.
Yeah.
I can imagine going through 10 years of just, with your coach and whatnot, and just the nutrition part and the fitness part. I can imagine that you've learned an immense amount, obviously, about nutrition, what's in a carb, fat, protein, all the micronutrients, and the muscles. Like, I bet every name of the muscle, like, where all the muscle, like, I bet I can imagine that it's such like an educational experience as well. And
absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so I taught myself to count macros a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, I'm like, oh, cool. I could look at a food and I can kind of guess if it's more like carbs than fats than proteins, whatever. I just learned a lot of just self-taught. So after 10 years, that's what I was thinking just now. I'm like, oh my God, she's probably like a professional just about every food and everything that goes in your body.
I'm laughing because I remember I had memorized everything, how much, calories are in my oatmeal, in the orange, in a, handful of spinach. Well, you get to memorize those things because you're counting your calories every single day. You're journaling. Right. And at the same time, you're learning about your body. You're getting to see how your body responds to certain things. And that was a really cool thing, because I always thought, carbs, carbs are bad, but my body loved carbs. I did so well on carbohydrates, and maybe that had to do with the type of athlete I was in terms of how I lifted and how frequently I was doing it. Josh, I was telling you that I love sprints. I love doing sprints, and I could do sprints really well if I ate, a piece of toast or some sweet potatoes before. Don't try to race me because I can beat you.
You're talking to
I'm
Deb,
challenging
right?
You.
You're talking to Deb for sure, right? Because I couldn't, even in a car, I couldn't beat you. I know that for a fact. I'm that slow.
It's so funny. No, I'm just talking smack. But then I realized that just my body responded really well to carbs, and I could eat them and use that source of carb as fuel for my body to get a really hard, intense workout in.
Yeah. That's great. And then, so what was the transition like then, coming off of competition to, all right, I'm not doing competition anymore. I'm just going to live my life for me and just do the workouts for me and do what I want to do. What was that transition like? And then what does that look like now for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Oh, you guys have really, really good questions. That's great, Deb. Thank you.
Try our best.
It was challenging. It was challenging for sure, doing that transition, because honestly, I had found my identity in bodybuilding. I had done it for 10 years. And towards the end of my career, I started getting really convicted, because so much of my time, so much of my money, so much of just my efforts were being consumed by bodybuilding. And so I had to kind of check myself and be like, do I want to do this again? Going into another prep, I was getting ready to do another prep, and I had to have a conversation with myself and say, okay, what else can I be doing with my time? And, I had said, what we do on a regular basis with our time says a lot about who we are, says a lot about our values, and, what we want to do in this lifetime. And, I'd created that hashtag Fit Chick with a Purpose for a reason, because I wanted there to be meaning and purpose behind what I do. And so I decided that I wanted to kind of fade out the bodybuilding and still have my fitness platform, but use that platform for other things, specifically related to animal rescue. And during that time, I had really had a beautiful encounter with God. And it was in that time that I was like, I think God is calling me in a different direction. I really want to listen to him, and I'm gonna pursue whatever it is he has for me. And as uncomfortable as it was, because again, my identity had been in bodybuilding for 10 years. Everyone knew me as, Jonna is this bodybuilder. And there was a lot of anticipation for what my career looked like. There was a lot of promise. I was at the peak of my career. And it was at the peak of my career where I was like, I'm going to give this to God. And it was hard. It was definitely challenging, but it was a great decision that I made, because in that I was able to do so much more with the passions and, the purpose that God has kind of created me to be. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer. That's, something I was going to ask you. I'm glad you asked your question, Deb, because it kind of leads into what I was going to ask. So it's perfect. So something I read like years ago, I couldn't even tell you how long ago it was. It might have been an ESPN article or a Sports Center article or a Sports Illustrated article. But they were talking about bodybuilders, and they were saying that the level of depression in the bodybuilding world is really high. And I remember reading that at first and thinking that seems so strange, because these people are in incredible shape, like the most beautiful people, right? Like that you see, just incredible shape, and they're, just muscular, and it's what everybody strives to be. But then as I read this article, they were basically explaining that it's because it's like body dysmorphia, basically, right? Where you're never happy with how you look. You might look at your left bicep, and then you look at your right bicep, and you see some inconsistency, and it just drives them to a point where they're just never satisfied with themselves. So, like how accurate is that? Like when you're kind of in that world and you talk to people, is that really a huge struggle for that bodybuilding community?
Yes, definitely. And thank goodness I had a really healthy relationship with my body. I had a really healthy relationship with food. And so it didn't bother me to that extent. However, when I look back now, I'm like, why did I ever complain about what I look like, what I looked like in competition mode in 2016? I looked amazing, but like back then I was, stressed out because, my coach said I need more size here. I need a cut here. And so like I said, it became, my identity started to become part of that, what people were telling me, what the judges were saying, next year you need to do this, or you need more of this. And so, that's definitely sounds about right in terms of people struggling, bodybuilders struggling with that aspect of it.
Well, that's got to be such a difficult thing too, because like you said, if you're leaving the competition that you just, devoted your entire year to, and you're leaving that competition, and the thing that the judge says to you is like, hey, if you want to win next year, if you want to be more competitive next year, you've got to work on this one thing. Well, it's not like you can think about that for a week and then it kind of goes away. You're thinking about that for the entire year until that next competition, and you're like obsessing over it. And it's like, I can't even imagine. I get obsessed with other stuff that's not like, for me, like this podcast, I get obsessed with it. You can ask Deb. And so that stuff just like constantly drives me crazy. So I can't imagine what that would be like if it was something about, me personally that I had to obsess over, and then, where it would drive me to that point. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's your body, and it's like you said, Jay, like it's the subjective judging, like you literally, like who you are and what you look like is being judged. So
well, you can't escape it.
And that body weight isn't realistic. Like your stage weight, like what you look on stage, like no one can maintain that.
Right.
And I never wanted to maintain that, but some people try to maintain that level of physique outside of their peak week, or outside of their training or their competition day. And it's just not feasible. It can't happen. It's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. So yeah, I could see where people would get depressed because, you know, they're feeling great because their body looks amazing. And then, you know, you get back into eating some regular food and your body responds to it. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This is
something
go ahead. Sorry, Deb. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just a comment really, but like it's something
mine's
that
really dumb,
so I teach high school. I teach high school PE, and a lot of my high school kids, they'll every once in a while they'll have a question about, you know, they want to ask me about fitness, nutrition, you know, because they just know I'm active and I just love talking about it. I'm not a professional in any sense at all, but like, and then they'll ask me about not bodybuilding per se, but like they'll get into that, and I'm like, you guys understand that is not, you can't, you know, the pictures you see like you know, on Instagram or whatever of these, you know, beautiful women doing, you know, bodybuilding, there's nothing wrong with that, but you understand that you can't look like that every single day. And so like, you know, and just to kind of, you know, educate them from that standpoint. And I don't know as much as you do, Jay, obviously, because you've been through it, but I think a lot of people have a misconception, and, you know, younger kids too, that, you know, they want to always look like that. So can you imagine the younger kids wanting, you know, thinking that, and then adults who actually are educated on it, and, you know, like you, Jay, like, you know, that you can't look like that every day, but to still have that mindset of like, no, but I want to look like this every day. And then just kind of, I can see how that would spiral.
I definitely kept it real. So during these 10 years of bodybuilding, I was a group exercise instructor. And in group exercise, there's every different body type. There's every different body type in group exercise, and everyone is invited to partake in these group exercise classes. We take every different fitness level. And so it can be really intimidating for an individual to come into a group setting to take a class.
So we have some technical issues, which really, that's never happened. We've done, between this and our other podcast, we've done close to, or probably over 130 episodes. That's never happened where it cut on my side and it stopped the recording. So that's actually pretty good.
On his side.
130? Wow.
Yeah.
So I was telling Jay when you popped off, I was like, oh, usually it's me. Usually my Wi-Fi goes out or something shuts off and I have to jump on my phone. But that was the first time Josh's
right. Which is is fine if you're, it's not the most convenient thing if you drop out, but like the recording continues to go. That's what I'm saying. I've never had it where I'm the one that records and the whole thing just stops. So sorry about that. I don't know.
No worries.
Nice job. Nice job, Mac. Let us down in the middle of a podcast. Really what it was is all that fitness talk was intimidating. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here. It was starting to scare me. Yeah.
Well, okay. So Jay, I remember you were saying how one of the last things I remember you talking about was that, you know, for your, you know, fitness classes you're teaching, you know, just when you're in season and your clients are either intimidated or they're like, I want to look like that. Like, oh my gosh, you look so good. And you're like, no. Like, this is bodybuilding. This is different. I'm not like, you know, it's a sport, you know, just to kind of like explain it to them. Have any of your clients, you know, obviously they're curious when they want to like look like you. Have any of them actually picked up on bodybuilding or started it?
No, not any of my clients or students per se.
Gotcha.
I think, like I said, they would see me like in my different seasons going through it. And again, it's a huge commitment. Bodybuilding it's a lifestyle. It is. It's not just like, oh, I think I'm going to do a show next month. Like, no, it's just a huge commitment. I dedicated 10 years of my life to it. So for whatever reason, my students were like, no, not for me. I'm good.
Right. I was going to say, and that's probably why they see all the work that goes into it. And they probably did maybe even just a little bit of research like I did. All I did was Google it. Again, not because I was interested, just because I was like, how does this thing work? How do they look like that? Yeah. Google it. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So, it is. Yeah, it's definitely.
I respectfully crazy. But
yeah. And like you said, it really is a sport. Like, I don't know if people really think of it as a sport necessarily, but like it is, you're training, it's a different kind of training, but you are training just like you would for a professional sport. It's pretty crazy.
Right.
I do have to ask this. This is a dumb question. I know that. I'm just going to preface that right now. So like how gross is the oil that you have to put on your body during competition? Like and how much is it? That's
Oh, the
like a
tanning.
lot of oil, right?
The tanning, you're talking about the tanning spray or well,
I-
I think I went through a few different, the tanning sprays. The tanning spray is gross because it has a weird smell and like you can't sweat. I mean, you sweat, but it's so sensitive. So if like if you drool when you're sleeping, it stains, right? It's like paint.
Oh my
And
god.
so it's very fussy and it's so challenging to keep your spray tan perfect until you get on stage.
Mhm.
And I would use Pam spray, Pam cooking spray, like that's what would oil that's what gave me that glisten. So the Pam cooking spray wasn't nearly as challenging as the actual tanning solution or spray paint, if you will. That was the most challenging because you'd have to go to sleep with it at night and you'd get darker, as the hours progressed. And then in the morning you'd wake up and hopefully you're like, sleeping like this. I'm a side sleeper. So I'd roll over again, like you drool or you put your hand on your face. You're donezo.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'm always just curious about that because it's like, I know that's a big part of the competition because
it's a huge part of it. Yeah.
it
That's
helps
what kind of makes your muscles
definition.
pop.
Yeah.
The
But
definition.
it always just looks like gross to me. It's like, I just feel for the people in the competition. I'm like, I feel like they are just, it's like you just put way too much like sunscreen on and they're just kind of like, just not super
it's
comfortable.
uncomfortable. It's definitely uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It's like I said, I'm more concerned with like touching something and like seeing like a print, a fingerprint there, or when you're sweating and like there's sweat dripping down, it's just trying to pat it and keep it clean.
The Pam thing is that's pretty good. I'm just thinking like, wow, that's like a quick,
easiest way to get that pop. Yeah.
Okay.
Secret. There you go, Josh.
Yeah, it's all now I know it is as gross as I think it would be. So yeah. No, it's an interesting thing for sure. That whole world is just interesting because you just, all the stuff that you have to do to be in competition, and it's stuff you don't really think about unless you're doing it. So crazy.
Jay, what is your favorite type of workout right now? Like, are you into HIIT, weightlifting, or maybe all of it? Do you do cycling? Like, what is your favorite type that you like to do for fun?
Yeah. I mean, obviously I love doing my bodybuilding splits. It's just the traditional compound weightlifting, which is great. I'll never ever stop implementing that into my workout regimens. Right. But I love any type of cross training. I love running stairs. I love rollerblading. I love doing any type of cardio-based HIIT intervals using like ladder, agility, body weight, explosive plyometrics. Yeah, I really like doing a lot of cross training to keep things kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah. I can picture you doing, because you said you like sprinting. So all of the power explosive movements, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's my jam right there.
Yeah.
Let's go run some stairs, you guys. Deb, you and I.
I love stairs.
Yeah, I love stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love running stairs. Find some good stairs. Yeah. When I go traveling or anywhere, I always look for a good flight of stairs. Best type of workout you can do.
I love it. And I didn't really think I'd ever like sprints until I started playing indoor soccer, because there was a ball in place now. So there's a manipulative object. Otherwise I like don't want to sprint, but if I'm chasing something or if there's like an end game for it, oh yeah, I'm in.
Indoor is fun. It's a fast paced game.
Oh, so fast.
Super fast paced. You got to have your conditioning up on that.
I mean, I don't know how much when I was playing pre-COVID, so like a year ago. I mean, I work out a lot anyway, so I don't know how much my sprinting conditioning was up then, but I think I just forced it to be up, or I did it anyway because I was spent the next day. And I'm in my 30s, so like the next day I felt like I got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
Just the girl slamming you against the wall. Anyway, Josh has heard this song.
Okay, hold on, time.
Okay.
time out, because
She's
she's making it seem like she's getting slammed by girls into the wall. That's a complete.
Oh no, I do the slam.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
She's the one that
okay.
she is the truck running into people, because she, like, every time on our podcast after, a game, she would brag about that. So it's like, I feel like she's trying to make herself seem like a victim. She's not. She's the one initiating contact. So that's all. Go ahead, Deb. I just wanted to make that clear for everybody.
Yes.
Nice. I love it, Deb.
I'm not a bully in real life, Jay. Just when we're playing, just in competition.
Hey, I'm the same. I played keeper when I play soccer, indoor or outdoor.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Oh,
Do
yeah.
you have a soccer background?
I do. Yeah, I grew up playing soccer. That was my original sport growing up until high school.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
I stopped at middle school. That was it for me. I'm like, I've probably reached the peak.
Middle school?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, because you did baseball.
I did baseball. Yeah, I played baseball in high school. Even that didn't last super long, but I still love it. But yeah, I couldn't. At a certain point with soccer, I just couldn't. I don't think the passion was there anymore. You know what I mean? And I also felt like I kept getting moved like further and further back on the field. It's like, okay, I see what's happening here. I'm too slow to do too much on this field. So, and then it just got to a point where everybody was way better than me. So I'm like, I'm gonna stick with baseball, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and then Jay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
We did overlap. Oh no, nothing. I was just gonna say, Jay, don't think I don't have a soccer background. I have a softball background. So my foot-eye coordination is not as great as my hand-eye coordination. Okay. But I'm aggressive, and I think I'm kind of fast, and I'm athletic. So my soccer friends were just like, just go on the field and run, just chase the ball. And I'm like, okay. And so I don't know what position I was playing. I have no idea what I was doing, but I just would chase the ball.
I'm sure you fit the part perfectly. It sounds like a soccer player for sure.
There you go. So I feel like we've talked obviously a lot about the fitness stuff, but the animal, your love for animals. So obviously it seems like you probably have a lot more time to dedicate to that now that you're not doing the, bodybuilding and stuff like that. So besides was it the Homeward Bound organization that you work with? Are there other organizations that you work with as well?
There's a ton that I've done fundraisers for. So I used my gym. So I was a director at a health club in downtown Sacramento, and I used them as like my platform to do boot camp with a purpose, to do holiday fundraiser events, just to raise awareness on, different animal organizations in our community that needed help. And so it was a beautiful way to be a bridge maker, because I'd be like, hey, I have this platform, I have this place where we have over 2,000 members, and you can get some exposure. We'll do a boot camp with the purpose. We'll have someone come out and talk about the organization, and you'll get some foot traffic, or you'll get some exposure. So I've worked with For Our Friends, Red Rover, Front Street Animal Shelter, Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Sanctuary, Bradshaw Animal Shelter, Animal Place. They're actually located in Grass Valley. They are rescue all farm animals. So I've done a ton of work with the different organizations, and using my fitness platform to be a bridge and tie them in together. So
right.
That's really cool.
We did 2 years ago, we did a boot camp with a purpose. So we had golden retrievers come into, and we had the ending class was a yoga class. And so we filtered in a bunch of golden retrievers during the yoga class, and people just loved it. And golden retrievers are such loving creatures, So people would be doing like their downward dog, and a golden retriever would come over and like lick their face, snuggle up to them. And that was definitely a popular thing, was doing those types of workouts for a cause. Josh, you were saying earlier that one of your marathons you did it specifically for a cause. And that caught my attention, right? Because you're like, I'm not going to do this for any other reason other than if I'm going to do it if it serves a purpose. And so when I started doing boot camps with a purpose, they really served well in our Sacramento community. So that resonated with me when you said that.
Yeah, no, it's Yeah, it's something I just really believe in because I feel like, it's no knock against anybody who wants to just do it just because they love doing it. But for me personally, I think it's got to have something more behind it because that's, especially, if we go back to the marathon thing, if you're, on those more difficult stretches, when you have that purpose in the back of your mind or at the forefront of your mind, it's definitely a motivator to keep going. Right. And so
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of value in that. But yeah, that's so cool what you do with the animals. I love golden retrievers. My family had a golden for 12 years. She was 12
Oh,
years.
wow.
And yeah, just she never over the course of those 12 years, she never stopped being a puppy. Like I just don't think Goldens can do it. I think
Yeah,
Goldens,
I
there's
agree.
always lovable puppies at their heart.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's so cool. It would be funny to do a yoga class with just golden retrievers running around
Just walking around. Yeah. Yeah. You guys, if you guys ever have an opportunity to come out to the sanctuary, Homeward Bound Golden Retriever Sanctuary, and just check it out. It's an amazing place. It's an amazing facility that will just warm your heart. Everywhere you look, like I said, there's just golden retrievers. So yeah.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Do you have a rescue, Jay?
Yeah, I had a golden retriever as well, and we had her until about 12 years old.
Oh.
And then after that, I could never get a golden retriever again. I was just like, oh, I just can't do it. Josh, you want to say something?
No, I'm in agreement with you. I said the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the one and only dog that my family's had or I've had. And, one day, my wife and I, and our daughter will get a dog, but I just said like, it can't be a golden. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? And in my eyes, like our golden was just so perfect. And she was like the perfect size, had the cutest face and the best personality. I'm like, we can get a dog. It couldn't be a golden. Like, I just don't think I could do it.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one that has said that, because I was like,
I feel the same
I can't
way.
do it again. Yeah.
I thought I was crazy, but I'm glad you said that.
No, I said I couldn't do it. So I get my fix at Homeward Bound with the golden retrievers, and then I have a huge heart for pit bulls. I love pit bulls. They're such a misunderstood breed, and I rescued a pit bull probably about 7 years ago, and his name's Phoenix. And he's a great little man. He's my main man, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then I rescued another one a couple of years ago, and his name's Blue.
That's
so
awesome.
Blue the rescue pit. So yeah, so I've got two of them.
Okay, so I have a question for you, because I've been saying this for like years, and I don't know if this is accurate. So I can find out right now what you think about this, having pit bulls. I always felt like you have people on both sides of the pit bull argument. You have some that say it's all about how they're raised, and then you have some people on the other side that say they're just aggressive beasts and it doesn't matter, that's just in them. And I always felt like it's somewhere in the middle, where you just have to understand, there's like certain breeds of dogs where you have to really have a great understanding of that breed. And I always felt like with pit bulls, the margin of error is probably really thin. And so it can't just go to any home. It has to go to someone who's a true dog lover and a person who really understands dogs. Otherwise, it could potentially be catastrophic. But I mean, is that accurate, you feel?
I mean, when I think about it, a lot of times it's not having a bad dog. It's a lot of it times it's the owner. It's the responsibility of the owner in terms of what kind of experience they've given the dog. And so, yeah, there's a misconception of pit bulls for sure. And I mean, Blue, the one that I just rescued a couple of years ago, I didn't know what his background was. Like, I don't know if he was abused or whatever. He was probably about 6 months old when we found him. But we played it safe in terms of, not bringing him around just anybody. We had to kind of get to know him and see what his triggers were, or if he had any. And he's a lovable baby boy. And I'll tell you this, people will be most surprised. I've been bit by more golden retrievers than I have than any of the pit bulls that I've encountered with at any of the animal rescue shelters. And so I think people would be surprised to hear that, it's not necessarily just the pit bull that, has the potential to do something. It's any dog, right?
Sure.
So
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I love pit bulls. I think they're so sweet.
Wow.
I mean, and I probably shouldn't do this, not because it's a pit bull, but just any dog. So like I've done it before. I'm running down the street and I see a dog, someone walking their dog coming towards me. And it's been a pit bull before, and I will stop and take my AirPods out and go like, hi, like, oh, hi puppy. And like, can I pet? I always ask first, like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm just like, hi, I'm just like all up in the dog's face. And it's usually a pit bull, and I'm not trying to like prove a point. It's just like, I think they're so cute and they're so sweet, and they're usually happy to see me unless I scare them. But, but I'll go up to any dog. Like, I just want to pet them.
Yeah, I can relate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I can definitely relate. I do. I have a heart for pit bulls, and I think it has to do with just that misconception of them. But they're adorable, and I mean, pit bulls are super friendly. They feel. I mean, a lot of them think that they belong on your lap. They're super affectionate. So yeah, I can definitwill relate with you on that, Deb.
One of my roommates has a pit lab mix. And she will plop on your lap. She wants to sleep on you. She wants to lick your whole body. Like, she just wants to give you kisses. Oh yeah. She's very sweet. Yeah.
You said you have a dog. What kind of dog do you have?
I do. So I have a 15-year-old Queensland Heeler. So she's also she's a rescue. She's my longest relationship to date. I've had her for 12 years.
Wow.
I rescued her when she was an adult. They said she was 2 or 3. They found her walking around the streets. So she's been my ride or die for 12 years.
Wow.
Still here kicking it. And she's old, and she just wants to eat, sleep, and poop at this point, and that's it. She gets mad at me when I make her go on walks because she doesn't want to move. But she's a sweetie. Any dog that I've ever gotten in my even childhood growing up, the rescues have always been just like the best, most loyal dogs ever. Like, I will always rescue.
There's definitely something about rescues. They are super grateful. They have it. I think they know to some extent that you're rescuing them. Yeah. It's a bond like nothing other.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I love the rescues. That's a really good thing you're doing. I really admire that you just your fitness with a purpose and dedicating it to rescues, and it's near and dear to your heart. And I bet people listening right now are hopefully are like, I want to do something like that too, because that makes sense. Like, why not have a purpose for it? And if it's going to go towards a good cause, that's something that you're passionate about, then why not? And who doesn't love rescue dogs? Who doesn't love rescue dogs?
During the pandemic, Front Street Animal Shelter was able to get out all of the dogs. They were able to get, foster, or people were able to rescue all the dogs to get them all out of the shelter. That was amazing. That was such a huge praise report.
Heard about that. Oh yeah, I heard about that. That's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's I guess one of the positives that come from the pandemic for sure was hearing stories like that, like as difficult as it was or it has been for a lot of people, like there have been some awesome stories like that, which is really cool. But I'm sure you've heard some, like I'm sure with during this pandemic too, you've had a lot of people that have made it a focus to get in better shape, right? And then some of these at-home workouts and stuff like that. So what kind of a response have you seen from people as far as trying to get in better shape during this time when they really can't go out like they normally would?
Yeah, well, virtual classes, right? Those became the norm. Those became the new norm. And I had struggled with teaching virtual classes just because I like to be in person. I'm such a social person, and it was really challenging not being able to actually see the individual. And so the virtual classes, definitely became a thing. I mean, Peloton, you look at Peloton, and Peloton, those bikes are, I mean, every week I feel like I'm hearing someone, oh, I'm getting a Peloton. Oh, I'm getting a Peloton. And if anything, I think it's encouraged folks to they don't have an excuse anymore. They don't have an excuse. Oh, I get off work late, or well, you're working from home now, homegirl. You don't have an excuse. you've got your pillows on, in the living room waiting for you, or, childcare, you're there at home working out with the kids. So I think people working out from home, it's definitely encouraged a lot of people to being able to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Some positives that come out of 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rolling into 2021.
That's right. feels the same, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully things switch up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so we want to be respectful of your time. We do definitely appreciate you taking some time to talk with us on the show.
Oh, yes.
But before we get out of here, the last question that we always ask people is, we call it our connection suggestion. And basically, do you have a brand, an organization, a person that you feel like we should be following, our audience should be more connected with? This is the one time I did actually talk to Jonna about this when we had our conversation. So she knew it was coming. Yeah. I usually spring this on people and I forget to tell them that this is a part of the show. And they're like, I don't know. And they just throw out a name. So what's your connection suggestion?
Okay, here's another question. Great questions, you guys. This one is super significant because connecting to your community is so important. Being a bridge maker inside your community is so important. Now more than ever, I think it's so important that we are aware of what's going outside of our own little bubble, what's going outside of our own world. And community to me is incredibly important. So I'd say Union Gospel Mission. It's a ministry off of Richard Boulevard here in Sacramento. 365 days out of the year, every single day, they feed up to 150 people.
Wow.
A hot meal every single night.
Wow.
I've teamed up with a couple of local family-owned food businesses to commission them to go to Union Gospel Mission and serve. And being there at the forefront has been so powerful because you see the long lines of people waiting for this meal. They're dependent on this meal. And with that, they also hear the gospel. They hear the good news. And so Union Gospel Mission is an amazing ministry. They do so much for the homeless community here in Sacramento. And it'd be wonderful to see more people hearing about who they are. And you can donate clothes, women's clothes, shoes, whatever, kitchen apparel, anything and everything. They'll take it.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. They do. Yeah. They do a ton of great work. So I second that for sure. That's a great one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you've heard of it. You've heard of it, Josh.
Yeah. There's for sure. There's a couple that I know that are really involved with them, and they hold, let's see, I think they hold 2 events during the year, in partnership with Union Gospel Mission. And it's like this huge, almost like a carnival type thing for the homeless community down there. I think it's around right before Christmas or right before Thanksgiving. I can't remember exactly when it falls, but yeah, they do a lot of work down there. So I'm familiar with them because of this couple that I know that does a lot of work with them. So, but yeah, they do some amazing work. So that's a great suggestion for sure. Where can they follow you and all of your fitness stuff and all of the awesome volunteer work you're doing?
Yeah. My Instagram account, MSJ Fitness. I'm working on a YouTube channel. I'm not technologically savvy at all, but that's coming.
Nice.
My YouTube channel is a faith and fitness channel. So I'm kind of building that right now, getting the content going. And so hopefully that will be up in the next month or so. So
cool. Well, we will definitely follow you there. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
yes,
for
definitely.
sure.
Hey, it's been such a privilege. Thank you so much for your time. And this has been such a fun hour just conversating with you guys about everything fitness. You guys can really talk about everything. I love the fact that you guys know about fitness. Hey, you have a golden retriever. This is what you call relatable conversation right here, you guys. That is fine.
Hey.
For sure.
I think so too. That
was
was
like the
really
best compliment ever.
This is super fun.
I know.
Super fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. You know what? That makes me
Yeah.
feel so good. We're gonna start making that a segment at the end of the show where before we sign off, our guests have to compliment us like that.
Have to say
You set the bar really high. I don't know. What do you think?
No,
Ben?
but I'm serious though. Sometimes it's difficult to hold you like we didn't plan any of these questions or how this was going to go, and this was just super organic. And you guys are very just likable people. So blessings to you both. And again, thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot.
Time. We could definitely pick your brain for like 5 more hours, I'm sure. So we'll have to have you back on again.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Or if you're doing something new or something, we could talk about that. And
yeah,
definitely.
Give our listeners some information.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens here when people, people come on the show and we really like them. They're kind of stuck with us. So I'm sorry, but yeah, you're kind of with us now.
Absolutely. Hey, and if I end up starting my own podcast, I'm going to have you guys on too.
Yes.
Okay, that would be awesome. We'll try our best to be a little bit more professional on your podcast. So, Deb, where can they follow us, Deb? I'm gonna let you do it today.
Okay, you guys can follow us on Twitter at Connectable Pod, Instagram at Connectable Podcast, and we're on Facebook. And then obviously YouTube, we got our YouTube channel on. And this is, if you're on YouTube right now watching this, you get to see our faces. Did I say all the handles right, Josh? You usually do that.
Okay. No, you got it. It's nice job. Well done. So awesome. Well, again, Jonna, thank you so much. This was fun. And
absolutely.
Good luck and stay safe.
Sounds good. All right. Take care. See you guys soon.
Okay. Bye. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.